Hi dancers, in today's video I will be sharing with you tips on how to improve your spins. This also happens to be one of my most requested videos. Let's get started. So, spins, one of the most beautiful elements of some of our dance performances. And it has so many different elements. You can have a slow spin, a double spin. You can have a spin that has 8, 5, 3, or 1 steps. It can be a whole bunch of different things. Today, I'm going to work with a 3-step spin and a 1-step spin. And also, my background is in Kathak dance, so I'll be pulling from that experience to share my tidbits on spins with you. So take what works for you and feel free to leave whatever doesn't. All right, so let's get started with the 3-step spin. So the basics of the 3-step spin is that, our body kind of goes around and our head goes on a different speed. So it stays to the front as much as possible. 1, 2, 3. So it stayed behind, but it also came back faster than my body. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And the second spin that we're going to cover is the 1-step spin. The 3-step spin is one of the spins you might see in Kathak dance, but also in your filmy performances as well, semi-classical dance. And it's one that allows for a little bit more movement and a little bit more bounce. So let's get into the basics. First things first, posture. So we're going to put our feet in a V stance. Now, the reason we get into a V stance is really like, when you have a tripod and you got like one of those big banners and it's holding it in place, that's literally what your feet are doing. It's holding you in place and allowing your upper body to be free and to move. So it should remain underneath your hips, okay? Bringing your hands to the center. Now, when we spin, sometimes we think it's a head-heavy, spin. It's all engaged in your core. So when I take my turn, there's a few things that happened there. 1, I inhaled and engaged. 2, my head and my shoulders were separated so that they could move freely. One most important thing about spins is something called spotting. So that's where my head sees a spot right in front of me and it tries to stay on it as long as it possibly can. And that helps with the sharpness of the turn, the clarity of the focus, as well as balance. All right? So when you're spinning, if you're turning, but you're looking in all the directions, you're going to get dizzy. So the idea is to keep it sharp and to not be able to see what's around you so that you can focus on your spot in front. Okay? So that's one of the most important parts, is spotting. So if you're spinning and your hair is not flying, you know that you got to spot a little bit more clear. All right? Now, steps. 1, 2, 3. You want to roll onto your heels to get you around to the front. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So it's all heel based, and that allows you to get around a little bit faster. Okay? So, spotting, feet. Let's talk about hands. So many of the times when we spin, we kind of just, out and in. What I want you to focus on is the power from bringing it back in. So goes out. Now think about needing to come back quickly. Okay? There's full engagement in the arms. And also, I'm not going over the space, right? So I'm not going 1, 2. I'm going through the space. I'm cutting straight through and coming back. And that's what will help with clarity and sharpness and speed. Okay, so if we're taking it and trying to hold all this space, it's going to take us a little bit longer, but it will also throw off your balance a little bit, right? We want to stay centered. Let's try 3 3-step turns. 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good. So in that, you should have not been able to see anything around you. Your arms would have gone out, came through the space, and your steps were clear. 1, 2, and by 3, you were already around to the front. Very good. So let's move on to the one-step spin. Now this spin gives us that sharp edge to most of our choreography. And it requires balance. All right, so we're going to get into our tripod or V stance. And this is all about, again, center engagement, stability. And when you take off, because you're engaged here, your feet should be free. Your upper body should be free. But because this is so engaged, you come right back to your spot. So what you're doing, shifting your weight over to your left, but remaining to the center. Picking up your right foot, it should be very, very easy. If you can't, that means you haven't shifted the weight over. So it shouldn't look like this. Core engaged, shift, lift. This is your takeoff point. 1. Okay? Now when you're practicing this, if you turn and you fall to the side, come right back. That means it's something to do with the core. You want to remain and work with your breath, right? In, out. Really learn how to use breath to help your balance. 1, 2. Okay? Again, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2. Good. If I was to let my body go, I would have fallen this way. So falling is not an issue when we're practicing. This is where we come to make the mistakes and to work on it. So if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it because I fell over, it means no, we just got to try again, okay? And we really want to target what happened. So for me, whenever I practice most of the time, I fall this way, right? So I fall this way because I didn't have enough momentum to get me back. So that means that when I take off, more power. Okay? So you really want to take off and you really want to get back to your spot. Again, posture, core, speed, and spotting. All right? Hands are an accent. 1. And you don't want to go into any other space. You don't want to, and your momentum also isn't on the out. So 1, 2. It starts right from here. So this is my end point and my beginning point. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? Each step has a very clear position. In your choreography or in your dance, there's never really going to be a moment where you don't know where your hands have to go, where your head has to go. These are some of the things that help. You know when you go to a performance and they change your direction or one of the dancers doesn't show up and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? By making sure that each position has a place, it doesn't change anything. You know that this is in relation to my shoulder, this is in relation to my knee, so that if I was to do that on this side, it didn't matter. So when you're practicing, always make sure that when something works for you and you like it, you set it, okay? So I know what this feels like for me. Figure out what feels right for you. All right, dancers, so when you're practicing, be sure to save this, come back to it, take your notes, and honestly, just give it your all. Keep practicing. Repetition is the most important part, and have a blast. Thanks so much. Bye.